All right, we are here for our second of three feature matches for week two. After some technical mishaps, it looks like we're about to get a game here between John P, and I'm going to be watching it from his point of view, and Justin's going to be looking at it from Ryan D's point of view. So, of note, these players were both members of Riveteers faction during our Capenna League, and seem to be on pretty good terms, but they are enemies tonight in our feature match. Um, so I think I know a little bit about Ryan's deck. I know he's a broker's deck because he's got a bunch of Capenna cards. So what's going on in his hand there?
Well, he has a few Capenna Land and Botanicals Plaza. He just drew the Tangle Islet. He has the Weather Seed Treaty, which is,
Okay.
just helps him fixing. The Warm Welcome for card draw, and a Spar's Educators also for fixing creature.
Yeah, so I saw a bit of his deck the other day. He's at 5 losses, so he hasn't got off to a bit of a rocky start at 4-5, and I believe he's opened most or all of his packs were from Streets of New Capenna. Um, So John, he started off on a green white deck. I know in week one we had some discussions about it on our server here, but he's gone into a Grixis control shell now. So in his hand he has a Bone Splinters tribute to Urborg. I believe that's an Urtai Resurrected with some fancy art and 2 lands here. So he's got his colors. He's got some removal. He's got an Urtai. So um, you know, once he finds once he finds some other things to do, he'll be on his way.
What is John's record?
John is at, I believe it's 6. He's either 7-2 or 6-3. I know he was 6-2 earlier today when I checked, and I believe he played a match since then. So he's off to a good start. I know he was getting under people in week one with a green white creature deck, but his pool was really asking to be more of a control deck. But I think he needed to open a couple packs first before he felt confident in switching to that deck. It looks like both decks have been working out for him. So here's a Metropolis Angel. Not sure how many counters are going to end up on creatures. Um, +1 counters is not happening too much in Dominaria United. Um, so we'll see if he can make use of that. But looks like John's going to just use his 2 mana removal spell here to kill a 4-drop. So he has to be pretty happy about that. Um, he's going to kick a Phyrexian Espionage, drawing a Mountain and Lightning Strike. Next turn, he'll be able to cast his Tolarian Terror for 5 mana or potentially less. So things are looking okay here.
How do we think like New Capenna would as a set would stand up against Dominaria?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure, but I know Capenna has lots of fixing. You get some cool gold cards, but I think sort of some of the individual power level um, might be a slightly higher at common, but I'm not certain.
I feel like Capenna potentially has a more synergistic set just because of how there are tribes and they were just
Yeah,
focused 2 color pairings. Whereas Dominaria, it's a lot more free with what you're trying to do. There's
yeah,
fixing pretty easily. You're just trying to enable it rewards you for playing more colors or just for
yeah.
paying off for just some random splash.
Yeah,
So
one consequence of opening a faction set in a non-faction league is that you limit the decks you could play in the future. So like it's unlikely Ryan will be able to play like a base 2 color enemy color deck like at any point just because of all the gold cards he's opened from Capenna, which was based in the allied colors. So it's like if he it'd just be harder. He has less flexibility in the later weeks. Like he's just sort of stuck playing these colors or some other combination from Capenna. Um, but
I,
Capenna does have
I think
fixing. You do have powerful gold cards. Interesting set to choose.
I think what's going to come down to is that if we're going to see the synergy of the crime family come through and be good enough to just stand to go against like Dominaria, which is generically okay cards with like some bonus effects.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I know he had. I'm trying to remember what I saw from him the other day. I know he had the Disciplined Duelist, which was like a premium uncommon that honestly probably should have been a rare. The two on
Yeah,
a double strike and a shield counter. I know he has a few creatures with shield counters, which are annoying to say the least to play around.
well, just thinking about it, like just first strike with shield counter as like a concept just means that in most times in battle it'll like not even take damage. It won't even lose its shield counter. Just having double strike, just makes it so it pushes through more damage when it doesn't go blocked.
Yeah, when you are blocking it, it never quite works out the way you want it to with that card.
Yeah. It's just because
So
like in that set of New Capenna, shield counters were a lot like kind of easier to get off of some creatures because you can block it with like some unnoticed 1/1 token or such
yes.
and such, and the shield counter goes away.
So I do see Ryan's playing a lot of small creatures. Maybe he has some pump spells in his deck or ways to get through. Um, he's doing okay so far. He's got John down to 12. Um, so John has a Urtai in his hand, which he's had from the start, and a Bone Splinters, as well as an Eerie Soul Tender, which he just drew off the timely interference here. So looks like he should be able to defend himself, but the Spiral's Adjudicators is going to come down and be annoying. Spiral's Adjudicators is going to pacify something next turn, essentially.
I wouldn't be surprised if he paid the ransom on his turn just to have the 5/5 be able to block, even though it's gonna get adjudicated, but it'll be able to be there, be useful.
Yeah, he does have Bone Splint. He did draw a second copy of Bone Splinters, which in a Grixis control shell, maybe Bone Splinters is a card he's going to be cutting at some point. Um, just normally in a control deck, you're not having creatures around to sack. So he's decided not to cast Bone Splinters here and sack his Tellurian Terror, I, which I can only assume means that he's intending to free it at some point from the ransom. So
I
Urtai's getting locked down, and Eerie Soul Tender is almost assuredly trading here with a 2/2. Yeah. Right, so he's drawing a tribute to Urborg, so that can take care of the adjudicators. Or okay, so he has decided to Bone Splinter here, so he can then use his Soul Tender to get back the terror. Looks to be the plan.
Yeah, doesn't seem too bad.
Yeah,
Ryan has drawn out of the way, though I don't know if Urtai is exactly the best creature to put out of the way.
yeah, and if you do it on Tellurian Terror, it's going to cost you more. So
I
um,
think you'd be okay with the Trillion
it's
Terror. Just it draws a card.
out of the way is a good card, but it's just like is strangely not efficient here. Um, so he just spent his turn sacking the land and leaving up 4 mana. So in comes the Terror
Yeah,
for two
he.
mana. He's drawn a Phyrexian Ranger as well. So it looks like he's ready to turn the corner here and possibly start attacking as soon as next turn. Uh, though, as you said, he's probably going to get his Terror bounced.
Yeah, just needs to find some sort of action to push through with the last few points of damage,
Yeah,
or
I
just to get like a creature on board.
I do believe he has the Luxurious Libation in his deck, which is a card which can win out of nowhere sometimes. Like, you have an unblocked 1/1 and just like suddenly you've been dealt 7 or 8 damage by it. Right, so he's sacking his lands here. So he's got some good pulls pulling these lands, on color lands from the Capenna packs. So
Oh
very,
yeah.
very useful. They do not add to your domain, but I don't think he's upset about that.
I think when you're going for a more aggressive take, I think a tap land draws a is typically better than just a land that adds for domain.
So John's weighing his options here. He's going to send in here. I think he feels safe with Tribute to Urborg in his hand. Yeah, he's going to get in here. He's gonna put a clock. Right. Yeah. So if Ryan
We're gonna.
plays a creature, the Celebrity Fencer gets larger, but Tribute to Urborg will take care of it. So what does Ryan have in hand aside from the out of the way?
He has a Civic Gardener, which is the 2 mana
Okay.
2/2 when it
Yeah.
attacks untap a creature or land.
Okay. So in comes Ivy, 2/1 flyer. Um, yeah, it's 7 life, 2/1 flyer. That could be irritating. But he does want to kill the celebrity fencer here because he doesn't want to get attacked for 4. So he does have a bone splinter. He could throw away the rager to kill this spell thief.
Thankfully for Ryan, Ivy is not a you have to copy it and target this. So,
Yeah. Ivy is a good target for a luxurious libation, though. If you target one of your other
oh yeah,
creatures, just get to get
oh
a
yeah.
huge pump on 2 creatures. Uh, so that's fun. Here's a Garna.
Oh, Garna's good.
Yeah.
Garna might be getting bounced into turn, but we'll see what he.
Yeah. So let's see if John continues the attacks like last turn. So this time, Rager coming in instead of Urtai, or just all of them coming in? Yeah.
I think this. I think this attack means that he's probably going to bone splinter after.
Yeah, just dumping the Rager. Okay. Yeah, I think leaving back 2 creatures is a bit safer here. Like in these colors, green and white, we know there's pump spells in his deck. Like based on the way this game is played out and the creatures that he's playing, you know, I imagine John could come to the conclusion that there's pump spells somewhere in the deck. So he needs to not leave things unblocked if he can afford it, and I think he can afford it here. So off goes Ivy. It's gonna deal a damage here. Right, so Gardner's going to get bounced. And then he's going to bounce his Ivy. Is that? Yeah. So he gets to bounce his Ivy here in response. We got a bit of a glitch here where Ryan's sleeve is now like stuck on the right side of John's screen.
It's also stuck
Where
on
the
his
stack would be.
screen.
Yeah, strange. Hopefully that'll be reset once this game ends. But, you know, it's not
I
obstructing the
wouldn't have
battlefield.
I wouldn't have hated if the bounce if the he tried to save his Ivy, maybe just found something off the draw. He did find 2 cards to play though. He found a Bouncer's Beatdown and a Zaro Janin.
Okay, so a bouncer's beatdown was it's like a rabbit bite effect, right?
Yes, and it costs 2 less to cast if it targets a black permanent, but it
Okay.
also exiles when it kills.
Okay, so he's just gonna do that right here, right now. Oh, I believe it deals damage equal to your highest power rather than
Yes. Oh yeah, it's
so
not even a bite.
yeah, so you can't get blown up by a removal most of the time. Or it's hard to get blown up for a removal. Okay, so there's a Czar. Um,
I
you know,
I think the Garna might have been a better target to be killed than the Artai who has already done its damage.
yeah, Garner's gonna grind out either some damage or some value here for John to put him over the edge to, for him, hopefully for him, win the game. So Czar attacks. Will put a counter on the Gardener, but he, can't attack into the Terror.
Yeah, the terror I don't see attacking here. Just makes it so like that back is good. Like yeah, still trade Garna for Zara, but then the 3/3 is bigger than the 2/2, and then you
Yeah,
either
I don't think
one
I
or
don't
take
think
one.
John really wants to trade Garna, but
Oh, that's a draw. He draws Niall. He's not gonna have the full domain to make it so it's a really good card, but it'll still find him a good card every
yeah,
turn.
it's also 2 turn lethal clock here.
Oh yeah, that's
Regardless
true.
of all the other things, it's just a 2/4 flyer when opponents at 4. So John's drawn on a land here to go along with the other land in hand. I will say they are very pretty lands. Very very pleasant to look at, but unfortunately not what he wanted to draw.
I think I think if you're John's situation, you might just attack with the Rager just to like if it gets Ian, you get to draw a card. You at this point it might just be desperation.
Yeah, I think he's mulling his options here. He might. Okay, he's attacking with a 5/5. Let's see what Ryan decides to do. If he decides to give him a card.
He's weighing his option to chump block.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, right? He has a 2/4 flyer and opponents at 4, so um, obviously John didn't remove it yet, but he doesn't have removal. So I think he's just saying, as long as I don't die, this is my plan.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Sounds completely reasonable.
he gets to look at the top three and choose one of those cards to draw next turn.
He has found either a take up the shield or the anointed peacekeeper. I believe the take up the shield is just going to be taken. And
Yeah, Peacekeeper is just a 3 mana 3/3.
he has a Benelish Faith Bonder in hand to, if he wants to, chump block the 5/5 again.
Right. So did he? So he left the take up the shield on top.
Yes, he did.
So John's drawn another land here. So unless he attacks all and is not, and opponent declares no blocks, Ryan will be taking game one here after this big flooding from John here with all these lands. You know, nine in hand, three or nine in play, three in hand is just okay. So he's giving him a draw here.
Garnet does not trigger off
Oh,
for
Garnet
itself.
doesn't trigger off itself. Okay, so he's not getting a draw. So
Yeah.
effectively, that ends the game, and we'll move we'll move on to the second game here. So just got flooded out. Ryan found things to do.
Yep.
John never really. I mean, he was on the verge
Hey,
of turning the
sorry
corner
to
there.
sorry to
Yeah.
undeafen for a moment, but I have to take a quick break to check on something.
Okay.
Yep, I'll be back.
All right. No problem there. Yeah. So as you heard, Ryan's just stepping away for a moment, but in the meantime, we're looking at John's deck here, and I'll put in I'll put in a good word for John and his podcast here. So if you are a league member and you're active on the server and watching matches and streaming matches and interacting with people, would highly recommend going to check out his podcast that he does every week about the league. He talks about league strategy in general, how he does from week to week, and then has an interview with somebody from the league every week, and it's a very good podcast. And I'm not just saying that because he interviewed me a couple months ago, so that has nothing to do with it. So it's a quick listen, so it's not like these podcasts that go on for an hour and a half, 20, 30 minutes, and you get a nice dose of his league experience and talking to other people in the league. So didn't look like he did much sideboarding, so that's why I decided to put in a good word for his Hunt the Week podcast, which on the server you can go into announcements and it shows up usually around Friday. Is Ryan doing some sideboarding, or is he still
He,
away
uh,
for as
he
far as
he
we know?
is still he's still away.
Okay, but you
But
get to look at
looking
his
at his
deck.
deck list,
Yeah,
there are quite a few Capenna cards in here.
right.
We didn't unfortunately in game one we didn't really see too much of the Capenna cards come into action, but we did get to see that how the lands let him get to his action quicker.
Oh yeah.
Uh, he got some things out of the way with like an educator, but he does have some rares from Capenna.
Mm-hmm.
He has the Gala Greeters.
Oh,
Uh,
that's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. It's the 2 mana 1/1 that whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you can choose one of three options.
Yeah.
And he also has Depopulate, which is excellent, just a board
Yeah.
wipe.
I remember that now. He used that the other day. He did the combo with shield counter. So
Ah,
his creature, so his disciplined duelist drew him a card for being multicolor and did not get destroyed by the depopulate. So I'm now remembering seeing him do that the other day to great effect. So
probably Depopulate just better in the format, I think, just because your opponent is less likely to have a multicolored card, with exception to the Legends of Dominaria.
yeah,
But in the format where Capenna had multicolored cards at common, you're just going to see them a lot less.
if you're playing against Johnny, he'll almost always have a gold card in play, but that's the exception rather than the rule. We saw his deck earlier, just full of gold legends. But for the most part, uh, you're not going to see as many. That is correct.
I mean, we remember, like you still always played the board, played Shatter the,
Yeah.
where like people would draw a card if you have creature power 4. Well, it's basically just the same thing for multicolor, and it's less likely to happen.
Yeah, so a couple good rares hiding out in there, and we saw those lands really make the difference in that game. I think just digging a couple cards deeper.
Yep.
Um,
Often, what comes down to the long game is who can draw more cards, and find more gas.
for a control deck, John did not draw a lot of cards that game, which He did cast a Phyrexian Espionage at one point, but he didn't have the card volume in the late game. And Ryan did with his lands, finding him exactly what he needed. Out of the way, drew him a card. So it worked out. So John here's got a hand. Sorry. He's got Tribute to Urborg. He's got Drag to the bottom. Hurloon Battle him. He's got two more swamps. So he, if Ryan gets off to a fast start here, he has a board wipe in hand.
Drag to the bottom. One of those cards where it's just like, just seems so amazing. Gets around like so many things. I feel, and
Yep,
like it works with domain.
absolutely. Yeah. Right now his domain is 4. So
Just giving
it's
-5/-5 to the board.
yeah. So what's Ryan's hand looking like over there?
Well, he at the moment he hadn't found a land. He did find another forest on top, but I don't know if he wanted to keep it because of his mana base. He did choose to keep it.
Okay.
He he has a bunch of just like removal, just Tolarian Geyser, Tail Swipe. He has some good creatures in like Vine Shaper, Prodigy. He has Speakeasy Server and the Fencer from last game.
Okay. So nothing nothing insanely special, but just we'll play creatures and spells to great effect here, or to medium effect. Drag to the
Yeah, he's not going
bottom
to be.
will probably take down 2 or 3 creatures once the board gets crowded. John has no creatures in his hand, just removal.
Right, yeah, Ryan will not be locked out of playing the game eventually, but he might be a bit sad when the Drag to the Bottom might kill his two creatures here.
Yeah, we'll see what John decides to do. He might wait another turn here. He's drawn his so he's drawn a mountain now. Yeah, he's gonna wait one more turn. I think he's gonna take a beating this turn. Hope that Ryan plays one more creature or 2 more maybe, and then just hit everything. So not playing a creature pre-combat uh, for the fencer. Does he not have a creature to cast?
I mean, fortunate for Ryan, the only thing he can cast is a Tolarian or nothing else,
Oh, okay.
because he has a Metropolis Angel, which he can't cast because he has a white or blue mana, but not both.
Oh, right. It's 2 and a white and a blue. All right, so he's just gonna stem the bleeding here and just kill the fencer after taking 3 from it. He's thinking about it with Urborg. Yeah, tribute to Urborg.
And typically,
Yeah,
this is what a control deck looks like. You just use your life as a resource. You basically just want to stay alive till like the last moment.
yeah. He
And
drew a
then,
timely interference here for turn, so he can lessen the damage and just keep going through his deck.
so the fifth land means that he could now has access to cast Speakeasy Server or Zaro Janin.
Yeah, so one of those will almost assuredly, prompt a response from John, whether it's a 1-for-1 removal or just the board wipe. So Zar's coming down. Um, so this is a turn where John's either gonna okay. So I think he's gonna cast Drag to the bottom here, because if he wanted to not kill the Billith, he could have Hurloon battle hymned the Czar and then drag to the bottom like the turn after. But he's just going to go for it now. Speakeasy Server, if that's the next play, is almost assuredly going to get hit by a Hurloon battle hymn, which thanks to the red white land that John just drew, will actually gain him 4 life, which is very big. So a timely red white land showed up there.
Yeah, as I said, both players seem to be on pretty equal footing at the moment. But what's really going to dictate this game is who's going to be able to draw cards. And so far, right now, Ryan is primed to draw a card with Geyser, but that's pretty much it. So
Yeah, John
John's
has
going to
not
find
drawn a
some stuff.
creature yet. This game.
Wow.
So, like I said, he's gone into pretty much hard control mode with his deck, but you still need to draw something to win with. This is not sustainable here. Like your opponent is going to have 20 something creatures. You don't have 20 something removals, so you got to do something else in the meantime. And yeah, he's putting on the pressure here. So he's got a Lagomos. That works well with his Bone Splinter. So he could get rid of that token and kill something. So unlike a lot of these other cards that Lagomos might is resembling from the past, this token does not have to attack. So a lot of the
Unfortunately,
time
as a tail swipe.
we see them making tokens that don't attack. So Unfortunately, the tail swipe is gonna hit before combat. So nice play there, making sure it doesn't end up getting a token first. And unless John finds something, this game's going to be over next turn. He's going to get hit for 7. Yeah, like I was saying, Bone Splinters is not optimized in John's deck without a huge amount of creatures. So yeah, the land comes, the Bone Splinters, and yeah, that was a very convincing victory for Ryan. Just John's control deck, he got himself to a point where he could have turned around, but he just didn't have any creatures. It's hard to win when you don't draw creatures in this game. So good job. Congratulations to Ryan D on winning the feature match, the former Riveteers. And we'll be back after with our third and final feature match of the night.